What's going on, everybody? Soliaker here, and I want to give a huge shout out to James D. He sent me an email. I guess he did a records request for the meeting that I got kicked out of, that I'm still under. I believe it's 70 something days now. So I've been under investigation for 70 days, going back almost, you can do the math, almost 2.5 months now. But anyway, James D, I'm not going to use your whole name. I didn't know if you wanted me to even say anything, but I do want to say thank you for James for doing what he did. And we're about to go through this. So let's check this out. You're going to laugh about this one. No, actually you're not. And as you can see, we have the CPD library detail. And this is on the day of that I'm under investigation with. And Sergeant Stiff makes $52.88. We've got Officer Adele, she makes $37.59. We got Officer Banks, he makes $38.53. And you got Officer Belding, makes $34.07. Officer Kelsey, $32.45. We've got Officer Marcher, he makes $39.49. Officer O'Grady, $37.59. Officer Vangeli, $32.40. And just so that you know, between all these officers and their salaries, it's roughly about $305 an hour for all of them. So $305, and they all sit there and they work for 3 hours during these meetings. So, you know, they spend $1,000 on like 8-9 officers to deal with what? A bunch of people that have something to say that they just don't seem to like, and they want to create rules that don't go with the Constitution. But hey, that's just me, you know. I'm just glad he's gone. As a matter of fact, the Tampa Bay Times, Tracy McManus, she made a story on this. And let's get into this story. And into this story, if you need to, go ahead and pause. I will do some talking over it, but for the most part, just read it because it's a good article, and I will leave the link in the description. And go over there and give her a comment, or go, I think she has Twitter or all these things. If you can find her, let her know the Armed Fisherman sent you. So I'm out of here. Soliaker, deuces. In Clearwater, outgoing mayor's obscene gestures flouts push for decorum. You know how we've already been dealing with that. Brian Ungst Sr. apologized for raising the middle fingers to the protester last night. And look at that beautiful face. He looks so happy. After his time as Clearwater mayor ended on Monday and he gravelled a work session into recess, Brian Ungst Sr. stood behind the city council dais and turned to a man in the audience who was giving him the Ungst termed the one-finger salute. Ungst returned the gesture, raising a middle finger. Then he set his things down so he could raise them both. The standoff was the accumulation of months of confrontations between Ungst and two activists who have challenged the city's newly adopted rules of conduct. The rules forbid name-calling, interruptions of speakers, and obscene gestures during council meetings, including extending the middle finger. Ungst was preparing to leave the dais when he first tried to ignore the gestures from Michael Taylor, an activist from Port St. Lucie who tests city's response to the First Amendment challenges and posts the videos to YouTube for income. But since Mayor Bruce Rector had been sworn into office minutes earlier, Ungst said he felt free to respond to Taylor during the recess in a way that he had been unable to for months. It was just me as an average citizen letting him know how I felt about him when I was no longer the mayor, Ungst said. I probably shouldn't have done it, done that, I called the city manager, Jennifer Poirier, later and apologized. After former Frank Hibbert resigned in March 2023, the council appointed Unks, who had served as the mayor from 1999 to 2004, to finish the last 11 months of Hibbert's term. Unks proposed the adoption of the council's decorum rules in August, and after months of appearances from Taylor, Clearwater resident Daniel Haluba, that he said interfered with the city's ability to conduct business. But Taylor continued to challenge the rules that he said are unconstitutional. So did Haluba, who has attended meetings for years to criticize actions by city officials and the police. At the lecture during the public comment portion of a meeting in November, Taylor said Unks had thin skin and the politicians needed to be changed like diapers, and held up his two middle fingers. He lingered in the council and gave the gesture. After 3 minutes had expired, Unks gavelled him out and the police escorted Taylor out. Unks also ordered Taylor to be escorted out of a meeting in January for sitting in the back room with a shirt that read F. Brian Hitler Unks, and insults directed at 3 other city officials. The council rules prohibit meeting attendees from wearing clothing that contains obscenities. Taylor said the First Amendment protects his right to wear the shirt, and yelled to Unks that he be waiting for you outside, mother effer, as the police escorted him out. In March, police arrested Daniel Haluba during a council meeting after Unks gavelled him out, ordered him out, and he refused to leave. During these 3-minute public comments, Haluba had criticized the police department and accused 2 city officials of having conflicts of interest. His last words as he turned to leave, "I do aggravate the thin skin of Brian Unks." For that, the mayor gavelled him out of order. When Haluba returned, walked to the lectern, Unks asked the police to remove him. When he had refused to leave after warnings, he was arrested and charged with trespass. "I had every right to say what I said," Haluba said in a later interview. On Tuesday, Unks said he does not regret the way he enforced the rule. He said that the city has to be able to conduct its business without interruption, and the rules were supported by city staff. "I had to be the bad guy, which is fine," Unks said. Work sessions like the one where Rector was sworn in as mayor do not include public comment portions like regular meetings. In an interview on Wednesday, Taylor said even though he couldn't address the council, he still wanted to attend for Unks' last meeting to say bye. He said he didn't care that Unks returned the middle finger to him. "If he could have spoken at the lectern, I probably would have told him, even though you might not like what we have to say, it's your job to just take it," Taylor said. And like I said, I will leave the link to the article in the description below. Give her a follow. I'm sure she has some social media out there. I'm not really sure what they are. But as you can see, the police on all these meetings that they have 7, 6, 7, 8 people there, they waste $1,000 for a bunch of people that we have a right to do it. And none of the police are in there upholding the oath that they swore to uphold. So, yeah, this is wild. And I love the article from Tracy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to go and read it, you're more than welcome. And I'm out. Sully Eckerd. Deuces.